We are extremely happy to have Dr. Akhilesh Gupta amidst us, who will be delivering the Aaranyak Foundation Day lecture. Before we move on to the lecture part of it, we would like to have some special felicitation to Dr. Gupta. May I request you, sir, to please come up to the dais. I would like to request Sri Ranjan Bhuya and Dr. Bibhav Kumar Talukdar to felicitate. Dr. Gupta will be felicitated with a airy shawl, a memento, a traditional pulam gamusa, a pack of publications, and a citation. I would like to read out the citation of Dr. Akhilesh Gupta. Aaranyak felicitates Dr. Akhilesh Gupta, eminent climate scientist, India, on the occasion of its 30th Foundation Day on 9 September 2019. You have to be burning with an idea or a problem or a wrong that you want to right. If you are not passionate enough from the start, you shall never stick it out. Steve Paul Jobs. Dr. Akhilesh Gupta, a rare breed of a combination of a scientist par excellence and a science management leader, is a man with a fire in his belly, always passionately driven by dreams and action to elevate the country's science and technology sector to pivotal positions of achievement and glory. By qualification, Dr. Gupta is an accomplished climate scientist who has very significantly contributed to the advancement of meteorological and climate sciences in the country. At the same time, he has earned enviable reputation as a visionary leader in science and technology sector of the country, who is the ideator and creator of many flagship scientific programs and institutions of the country, especially in the field of earth, climate, and agro-meteorological sciences that has helped the country move in the right direction towards eminence in scientific research aimed at sustainable development and societal well-being. Born in 31st May 1963, Dr. Gupta acquired his doctoral degree in atmospheric sciences from IIT Delhi in 1999. He started his research career in major scientific institutions of the country, such as the India Meteorological Department and the National Center for Medium-Range Weather Forecasting. Later, he served the Government of India in key positions such as Head Climate Change Program of the Department of Science and Technology, DST, Advisor to the Union Minister of Science and Technology and Earth Sciences, and Secretary, University Grants Commission. Dr. Gupta played a key role in drafting the National Action Plan on Climate Change, the first climate change policy of India, which was published in 2008. As the coordinator of the National Mission on Strategic Knowledge for Climate Change and the National Mission for Sustaining the Himalayan Ecosystem, Dr. Gupta initiated, developed, formulated, and implemented several national-level R&D programs. Under his able tutelage and meticulous guidance, a large pool of Indian climate scientists associated with the DST's various programs are scaling new heights in innovative scientific research and high-quality publications in the best of the international journals. He has inspired a generation of scientists of the country by his high-quality scientific research, extraordinary leadership, and penchant for excellence. Throughout his illustrious professional career, Dr. Gupta has always followed the adage stated by Anatole France, the great French literary figure and Nobel laureate, had said, to accomplish great things, we must not dream, but also act, not only plan, but also believe. Mr. Ranjan Bhuya, President Aaranyak, Bibhav Kumar Talukdar, PhD, Secretary General and CEO Aaranyak. Thank you. I take this opportunity to request you, sir, kindly to deliver your Foundation Day lecture entitled Climate Change and India's Sustainable Development Pathway. May I request you, sir?
Shri Ranjan Bhuya, President of Aaranyak, Dr. Bibhav Kumar Talukdar, Secretary General and CEO of Aaranyak, Professor P.C. Bhattacharya, Dr. Partha Das, convener, distinguished guests, invitees, members of Aaranyak, and the members of the Executive Council, the scientists, students, ladies and gentlemen. A very good morning to all of you. At the outset, let me thank the President and the Secretary General for having invited me. It has been a great honor for me that I am here delivering this Foundation Day talk. Before I proceed with my talk, let me convey my greetings and congratulations to Aaranyak for having completed 30 years. It's a big day for this organization, and I, on behalf of the science and technology and also my own behalf, I convey my greetings to all of you. I think since I have although I work with government, but I too have been the Joint Secretary, Vice President and President of an NGO for almost 14 years. I served the NGO, so I know the pain of running NGO. It's very hard and very challenging to sustain, and 30 years is a long time. Unless you have a noble cause and you have dedication and commitment, it's not possible to run an NGO with same spirit and energy. Getting the fund is a big challenge, and you see, it's very. I would say that it's heartening that I see Aaranyak able to get funding from various sources, international and national level. And that will happen only when you have that kind of credential, community. So it's like when you want to stand on your feet, you need to demonstrate your actions, that whether you are worth, and it's very, very hard to do that. And the most notable, achievement of Aaranyak is your research. And I haven't seen that an institution, an NGO has so much outcome. It's not easy. First of all, to have this kind of outcome, and then you have 10 divisions working, I think 10 or 11 divisions working for this, scientific cause. And I can see that you have something like 126 research papers in the peer-reviewed journals and several books and also, as you mentioned, that you very religiously, bring out your annual reports and other thing. I think it's a very commendable thing that and I sincerely wish you all the best for the future. But and never get disheartened. I'll tell you my own experiences. There is a famous saying that people are waiting for your failures. People wish sometime, I am very granted that, but people sincerely wish, many people, that you fail. And therefore, prove that wrong. You had to work for your success. Success is not easily achieved. You require a lot of strength for that, a lot of your hard work and support. So you continue your good work, and I'm sure success will be there with you. Let me begin my presentation. This presentation is a little longer, but I'll try to, do time management so that I don't exceed my time limit. Climate change is such a, I would say, global challenge that everybody is impacted across the world. But it is so unequal in its impact. It's like any other social evil, where it's never homogeneously distributed over the society. And the worst part of every such social evil is that those who contribute the least are affected the most. This is the problem, and this is the same thing that is applicable to climate change. People who contribute least, they are affected the most by this event. So I am presenting this, of course, in a global context, but will bring Indian context, and wherever possible, the Northeast context, and wherever possible, Assam context. So I'll try to be, finish. I think I am given 45 minutes, but I'll try to finish a few minutes early. Now, there are three messages that come clearly, and there's so much of misconception that we have about climate change. And anything and everything that happens around us, we assign that to climate change, that's because of climate change. But there are several uncertainties about climate change. The three very certain things about climate change are these: that temperatures are rising across the world, somewhere less, somewhere more, but it is rising everywhere. It has risen already. Sea level is rising again across the world, somewhere more, somewhere less. And intensity and frequency of extreme weather events are rising again, somewhere more, somewhere less. It's there everywhere. Now, if you see, this is a very, this figure you have seen, all of you must have seen. Temperatures have been rising all through, right from 1880, 100, this is 138 years diagram showing temperature rise. And see, especially 1980 onward, you can see temperatures have been consistently, rising. Especially in last 15 years or so, the rise is very, very, steep. And every year there is a new record temperature is running. See, as on last year, the data is global. Roughly 1 degree centigrade temperature has risen in, say, 100 years period. And every year this figure is getting outdated. I think there is some issue with the thing, but let me. Now this question is very often asked by people that whenever we are talking about the temperature in future. First of all, it's a very common misconception that all of us have. And see, what do you mean by 1 degree centigrade rise? People say, common man say that 1 degree centigrade is not important. We are seeing day-to-day changes of much higher magnitude. 4 degree, 5 degree, 6 degree temperatures are rising on a day-to-day basis. So what is the sanctity of 1 degree centigrade? Actually, that we have to understand, that it is the global average that is changing. It is like, your body temperature. If your body temperature, if you get fever, is just temporary. That figure, temperature has risen to, say, 102 degree Fahrenheit, comes back to again in normal value, or 98, 98 something. But if your temperature, body temperature, rises by 1 degree perpetually on a longer term, that is actually a beginning of a disease. That's an indication of a disease. And that is the thing that we have to understand. Now, another question that is being asked to, at least to me, many people ask, that when you are talking about temperature rise of 3 degree, 4 degree centigrade in future, is that temperature going to be unprecedented? Has it happened in the past ever? So I'll show you, this is a very interesting thing, that this is the temperature for past 10,000 years. This is some of them is proxy data. And this shows that in 10,000 years, we never had temperature, in excess of, the temperature today. This is the temperature today. We never had, in 10,000 years, temperature today itself is unprecedented. It has never taken place. And in future, also whatever temperature is going to rise, it never happened in 10,000 years. And I'll come to the next slide, which is more elaborate in this thing. This is a slide showing temperature in past 10 million years. 1 lakh years back, what was the temperature? Now, this is again proxy data, based on ice core and tree ring data. And you see, we are here. And future temperatures are going to be, 2 degree, 4 degree, and different scenarios. And if you go back, you find there was an ice age about 10,000, 15,000 years back. And then prior to that, this was the Miocene period, or the period of, dinosaur. That is something like 1 million years back, or even more than that. Now, the only, precedence of future temperature of 3 degrees centigrade or 4 degrees centigrade or more than today's temperature is you can trace back only in the age of Miocene or age of dinosaur. That time human did not exist. So this question is being contemplated, that the very existence of, forget about the other species, even the existence of human is in question in the future if temperature rises by 3 degree to 5 degrees centigrade. And that is because adaptation to this kind of climate will become very, very challenging for the humans. Now, all that happened because of the change in, the level of carbon dioxide, which has never happened in the past 650,000 years. The carbon dioxide content has never crossed 300 parts per million of volume. But now we have something like 450 parts per million of volume. And you see, there is a close correlation between the emission and temperature rise. Again, this question about there is whether how much CO2 in content in the atmosphere contributes to temperature rise. This is very well correlated. So more emission is going to have more temperature rise in future. And there is a limit to adaptation, that how much carbon dioxide can be sequestered by the different ecosystem. Suppose there was in fact a kind of experiment done, computer simulation, that the whole entire world is green. There is no building, nothing. Entire world is green. Can it solve the problem of carbon dioxide sequestration? No, because CO2, whatever is released in the atmosphere, can be absorbed by three things. One is, of course, plantation of green of trees, and the plants can absorb it. 1/3 of it normally absorbed. Another 1/3 is absorbed by the sea. And the third part remains in the atmosphere. It is because of that excess CO2 which remains in the atmosphere is responsible for increase in temperature. Now, carbon dioxide, once released in the atmosphere, will be there for 200 years. It cannot absorb, it remains, unless it is absorbed by the sea or soil or the trees. It remains in the atmosphere. So today, if you close everything, all factories, emission, everything close, even then the temperature will rise in future. This is the situation. So therefore, there is a limit to everything. Sequestration as well as the adaptation. How much you can? And that is the issue that India is fighting at the international level. Since I have been also an international climate negotiator, I know how difficult it is to negotiate on that issue. But India has been doing a good job. I'll come to that point later. Sea level rise is taking place. Again, the same issue. Sea level will continue to rise in future. And this is a fact that every area in the entire sea, all the seas in the world are rising because of the sea. Now, another thing, that misconception, again I try to address those things. People think that sea level is rising because of the melting of ice in the northern and southern, pole. It's not true. It's not the only reason. Sea level is rising because of two reasons. One is, of course, melting of ice in the north and south pole. But second and more important is rise in temperature of the sea. A law of physics says the fluid will expand. So sea is expanding because of increase in temperature. So the two countries which are badly impacted and are having impact on India, a country like one is Bangladesh. And let me tell you, this is a very important strategic issue now for India. Bangladesh is a very interesting country, landlocked from three sides by India, and fourth side it is sea. And they have so many islands, here, so many islands are there, where there is maximum production and the population live there. 16% of Bangladesh is predicted to go into the sea, because sea level rise. The population density in Bangladesh is one of the highest in the world. So when the 16% area is less at the end of the century in Bangladesh, where will their population go? You see, so there is a strategic area for India, So there is an internal security problem for this thing. So it's another country which is going to have very quite high, that is Maldives. Maldives has several islands, and their highest point is only 20 feet. If they go into the sea, where will they go? And so they are exploring all kinds of things. So these are two countries, of course there are many countries, island countries which have this problem, but these are two neighboring countries, India, and there is, as I said, there are strategic issues. Now, across the world, as I mentioned, across the globe, all hydrometeorological disasters are on rise, almost all. But two floods and storms are showing maximum increase in the, especially past 3 decades. The red one is flood and the grey one are storms. They are showing maximum increase over the time, especially for past 30 years. They are showing increase. And floods are very well correlated with temperature now. So it seems, and again I'll tell you why it is so, why floods are correlated with temperature and not the other things. Floods are caused by heavy rain in whatever catchment area, and heavy rain is like, why it occurs. When the atmosphere has large moisture in the atmosphere, that gets precipitated, and so that causes heavy rain. With the increase in temperature of the air, the water holding capacity of air increases. So you can have X, suppose X amount is being held by the air. With the increase in temperature of 1 degree, it can have X plus delta X. So that delta X becomes additional amount which will be precipitated. And that's why floods are correlated. But what kind of floods? And that I will come to that point again. Now there are, again as I said, the world is not uniform. Somewhere less, somewhere more. Countries with highest and lowest vulnerability to climate change. Least vulnerable country in the world. Finland, Sweden, Norway, Estonia, and England. Most vulnerable, Pakistan, India, Philippines. Again I will say, see, this is the inequality in the world, and this is inequality not in the global scale, at country scale, at regional scale, at local scale. Everywhere inequality is, basically the cause of worry. All these countries, Finland, Sweden, Norway, Estonia, and New Zealand, have very high, what is called their human index is very high. They are well off. Per capita income is one of the highest, and the impact is lowest of climate change. The country like Pakistan, India, and Philippines, they are poor countries. The impact is highest. The several, of course, European countries are showing fastest acceleration of temperature, but they have greater capacity to adapt. And similarly, countries which have lowest ability to respond to climate change, like Kenya, Lebanon, and Pakistan, are countries which have the lowest per capita income. And countries which have very high sensitivity to extreme are Philippines, Thailand, and so this is the inequality that we are facing, and we are challenge is that to address those inequalities. In India, if you see, temperatures are rising, and especially for past 20 years, the temperature has been consistently, continuously rising every year. And this is the challenge. Of course, global average of temperature and India's average of temperature differ. Temperatures have risen much less than global temperature. So this is God is always great to India. And so, but we had the greatest challenge. In the Himalayan region, in fact, there is a temperature rise everywhere. And in fact, again I will say the temperature rise over Himalayan region is much more than over the the plain area. And it's very interesting that as you go, in elevation, the temperature rises more. So this is a challenge that we had to face, that the mountainous areas and higher elevation mountain area are going to have much more, increase in temperature than the plain area. And so I think I can see everywhere temperature rise is there. I think I can skip this thing. Now, so far as rainfall is concerned, the monsoon has been largely unaffected when you consider monsoon as, India as a whole and monsoon as a whole. There is not much trend seen. But if you go to the level of states, you find that there are somewhere the rainfall, monsoon rainfalls are increasing, somewhere they are decreasing. And some states like, Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand, they are showing, a decrease in rainfall. Northeast overall is showing decrease in rainfall, but some states are showing more significant. And on an average, the changes are not very significant in the country level. But in the Himalayan region, in general, rainfall, again, somewhere they are not changing, somewhere they are increasing, somewhere they are decreasing also. Now, this is an interesting thing that, we have to see that in the context of India as a whole, monsoon rainfall is not showing any trend. But if you see the environment-wise, this trend is seen almost entire country, but more so at the central India, where the low and moderate rainfall events are actually decreasing and heavy and very heavy rainfall is increasing. So if you look at this in this context, when the total rainfall is not changing much, but low and moderate events are decreasing and very heavy rainfall increasing, along with this one trend is coming, the number of rainy days is actually decreasing, which means that rainfall is getting clustered. So, 1 week rainfall is falling one day, but monthly average remains same. Now, this is going to have impact on agriculture. Agriculture needs rainfall in different phases. When you get rainfall, and suddenly in one day out of this thing, rainfall. Second issue also comes groundwater problem. Population doesn't take place, runoff is more. And therefore, this is also an issue. So, agriculture and water resources, both are getting impacted by more frequency of heavy rainfall and less number of rainy days. Now, if you see other trend of rainfall, another trend is coming, and this is very interesting. Recent paper showing that most of the metropolitan cities are observing heavy rainfall. And so there is a linkage of, urban climate with the rainfall. And we have done this study, this was done for Bombay, Calcutta, Madras, Bangalore and Delhi. It's showing that there is a trend increase in rainfall because of urbanization. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the floods are increasing, but you know what kind of floods? It is the small scale flood, flash flood, which is increasing in number. So, again, if you see, link is short-term heavy rainfall is increasing because of that flash flood in the Himalaya as well as in the plain area is increasing in number. But if you look at the trend in the overall perspective of the country as a whole, there is an increase in the extreme rainfall events over the entire country, but in some pockets, especially in the North India and Northeast India, the heavy rainfall number is decreasing. There is a decrease. This is a trend for about 30 years. 40 years. In 40 years, there is some increase seen in the gross sense. Some decrease in rainfall, in heavy rainfall in the northeastern area and in the North India. Now, if you see projected changes that are going to be projected for next 50 years to 100 years, you find that temperatures are increasing almost in all scenarios. In all the seasons, temperature will increase. And but the rainfall is also increasing, but rainfall over Himalayan regions are certainly going to increase in the next 30 to 50 years. The trend is very, very significant in some hilly regions. And even Northeast is going to experience increase in the rainfall events in future. And this is a more clear picture that you will see. That this is the 3-day extreme precipitation events in mid and the long-term scenarios. So you find in the entire northeastern region, you are going to have increase in the heavy precipitation, cumulative sense in 3 days. So that means the danger for flood events is going to be more in future now than it was earlier. So this is a trend that the number of events are going to be definitely increasing with time. This is more particular basin-wise. These are all Indian basin. This is a recent work, published just 2 months back. This is a recent work showing that Brahmaputra basin is going to experience more extreme events, precipitation in the mid and long-term scenario. So it's a except Indus, almost every basin is going to see 10 to 15 more number of events in a year. Now, coming to the National Action Plan on Climate Change, see this, since I have been associated with this action plan, and it was drafted by a team of which I was the convener. See, we had, in fact, this is the first plan in the world which is something very unique. India can feel proud of this, that it has based its entire national plan on our civilization legacy. And we have gone by, Mahatma Gandhi dictum. And we based our entire plan on sustainable development path. So all that I will come to, when I come to the end, I will show that all the development processes in India is actually mainstream with the sustainable development. And that's very important, I think, maybe towards end I will say. But the National Plan had 8 national missions. So you can see that these missions, the red one are mission on mitigation, and blue one on adaptation, and of course the last one is on knowledge. DST got 2 missions, national missions for sustaining the Himalayan ecosystem and national mission on static knowledge for climate change. Now these are the guiding principles that I mentioned, that we should lay highest priority for improving human development. See, India's Human Development Index has not been improving that fast. We are still hovering around 0.65 or something. And we need to have a much longer, path to go. And therefore, the main issue that we should focus. And if you notice, government focus has been on health, education, water and sanitation. All these come under the Human Development Index. So maximum priority should be on the improving the human development. Then maintain and sustain rapid economic growth, but greater emphasis should be on adaptation, and we should try to choose. This is a new concept that was brought by India to the world, that instead of cutting the emission, avoid the emission. And if you recall the emissions like, the energy efficiency emission, is that with the same power that is required for you, you can reduce the usage of power by bringing efficient bulb and efficient appliances. The 5-star ratings, etc., they are all part of this, that you create avoidance of emissions rather than cutting the emissions. This was the Gandhi dictum, the earth has enough resources to meet people's need, but will never have enough to satisfy people's greed. This was the, we followed this, and we followed broad adaptation strategies. India's nationally determined contribution to UNFCCC, where we have promised to UNFCCC that we will do certain actions in the mitigation. Like we said that we are going to have reduction in the emission intensity by 30 to 35% by 2030. And similarly, we said that 40% of cumulative electric power will be from non-fossil fuel by 2030. And also we said that we will create additional carbon sink of 2.5 to 3 billion tons of carbon dioxide. And there are several other promises that we have given to the UN. And in mitigation, in fact, already we have achieved the emission intensity of 12% between 2005 and 10. As on date, the renewable energy accounts for something like 34.6% of the total installed power capacity. This is a tremendous progress that we have done in past 5-6 years itself. And in fact, the wind energy, now India has the 4th largest wind producer in the world. And the target for the renewable, in fact, we promised that we will be able to achieve 20 gigawatt by 2022. We have already achieved this target, and now we have set a new target of 100 gigawatt by 2022. So, and in fact, India has now set up the world largest solar power plant, in Rajasthan. Similarly, nuclear power, we are going with a target of 63 gigawatt installed capacity by 2032. So there's so much is being done in the area of mitigation by India. See, the climate research is one topic, I think, since DST was given these two missions, National Mission for Sustaining the Himalayan Ecosystem and Strategic Knowledge. Both had the objective of, building S&T capacity in the country. And we have set up several, Center of Excellence, R&D program, network program. So it's a huge kind of network of something like 180 institutions, 1,200 scientists working with us, and something like 200 plus programs. So both these missions have achieved a lot as a part of these two research agenda. We in fact did a very detailed vulnerability and risk assessment of the Himalayan state. And DST has climate change cells established in all the 12 Himalayan states, even these two partial Himalayan states, Assam and West Bengal. And so, basic aim of these 12 cells were to, generate assessment of vulnerability and risk and undertake capacity building program and public awareness program. They did a wonderful job in some of the states like, in the northeastern region, they have done a wonderful job. In fact, Assam unit has started just now, only a few months back. But earlier like Sikkim, we have done, the unit has done a lot of work. Meghalaya has done a lot of work. Manipur, in fact, done very outstanding work. And Arunachal has done very good work. So these states, but what we did, we undertook a research work of Grand Himalaya assessment of vulnerability. And this was done very coordinated way. Nearly for the first time, that 120 scientists from entire Himalayan region participated in this program. And generally it is believed that states don't participate in research program. But to our surprise, the state-level scientists participated. We organized several workshops. IIT Mandi on the western side and IIT Guwahati on the eastern side coordinated this work, and in the overall patronage and guidance of ISC Bangalore, and we did this work extensively. And so it's all stepwise process that was done. And here the vulnerability index for Indian Himalayan region. All the states are vulnerable to climate change, but maximum vulnerability is in Assam and Mizoram. And they are the most vulnerable states in the country, in the Himalayan region, entire Himalayan region. And I'll tell you why Assam is so vulnerable. Among the parameters that were used for Assam and chosen by Assam themselves, it's not that we have in course, least area under irrigation among the states, least forest area available per 1,000 rural household, least number of farmers taking loans, lowest per capita income, low percentage area covered under crop insurance, and low Manrega participation. So these are the reasons why Assam got the maximum vulnerability. Of course, within the states, there are several districts. They were also monitored, and their vulnerability also being mapped here. Now, India at international forum, in COP21 in Paris, the famous Paris Agreement of 2015, India took lead, and our Prime Minister, in fact, was, considered as the most popular and very aggressive leader in this COP21. And you might have read, in newspapers, and that PM had the two words that was, in fact, for the first time mentioned in the UNFCCC document first was climate justice, where climate justice is actually connotation of, that we should work with little carbon space that we have, and so therefore developing countries, as I mentioned in the beginning, developing countries contribute least but are affected the most. And therefore we need to have some carbon space available to grow. So which means that we need to develop economically also. So economic development means emission. So India and other developing countries should get enough carbon space to grow. So we are ready to contribute to mitigation and continue our sustainable path, but at least should be given justice. This is again a new word which was in climate justice again. Second thing which Prime Minister has mentioned, is that the climate change across the world is largely caused by lifestyle problem. See, the Western world lifestyle is they can't live without, heating and air conditioning. India still, in fact, a large part of India still does not have those amenities and facilities and appliances which we enjoy in the cities. So basically, it is a lifestyle issue that is very important for entire world, and these two terms are included. Paris Accord, of course, I can see that it actually Paris agreement decided that entire world should work to limit the rise in temperature by end of this century less than 2 degrees centigrade, and if possible 1.5 degrees centigrade. And so there is an agreement among all countries, and there's so much implication that we have if we allow temperature to increase beyond 2 degrees centigrade. There is an extensive study, there is a report by IPCC on this. So it's very important for entire world to follow this thing. India is doing well. There is a climate action tracker which shows that India is doing well, and our present climate actions are well within the 2 degree centigrade compatibility. I think I will, these are last few slides. As I mentioned, in terms of lifestyle, there was a survey done by National Geographic and Globoscan to see how is the lifestyle in different countries in the world. So they chose some developing countries and developed countries and see that how they behave. And ways India is important here. So actually they chose these 14 countries, Canada, US, Mexico, Brazil, Britain, Germany, France, Hungary, Spain, Russia, China, India, Japan, and Australia. These 14 countries were chosen. 50% of them are developed countries, and remaining 50% are developing countries. They chose 4 parameters to define lifestyle. Housing, how do you live in the house? How is your, how do you use house for various way in terms of appliances used, the use of water and kind of thing. They chose 24 variables for that. Transport, how do you go, whether you use fossil fuels for the transportation. Food, how do you take food in your consumption of the food. And the disposal of issues, how anything that goes unserviced, how do you dispose of? And there were weightage given 30%, 30%, 20%, and 20%. And they defined a parameter called GREENDEX. Around, in the world, 75,000 people were interviewed as a part of this in all these 14 countries. Very interesting results. In housing, India occupies number 2 position after Brazil. And look at the bottom. USA is at the last. So those who teach us, they are the most worst in their lifestyle. Transportation. China is number 1, India and Brazil number 2. And see the bottom is USA. Food, India is number 1. In goods disposal, again, India is number 2 after China. Now, food, if you read the report, it is available on the web. You might have seen some of you. If you read on the report, in food, there is a description on that. India is the only country, perhaps, in the world which connects the food to the God. We never waste our food. See, whatever food in fact, earlier there was no system of refrigeration. So we used to, in fact, cook that much food only which we consume. So at that time the system was that, you cook the food, if there is something left out, first give it to your neighbor. साहब हमने बनाया है आज ये आप खा लीजिए हमारी तरफ से दिस इज समथिंग स्पेशल नेवर ऑल्सो फील वेरी हैप्पी दैट इज गिविंग सो मच if it is more than what is given to the neighbor, then you go, it is a traditional in India that you offer the food to the cattle, cow, dog, cat and all. But never in India, I think even the richest people in India will throw the food in the dustbin. Never. Unless food has gone waste. You go to, I have been to US, people take a foot long. Because in US nothing is small size, everything is large size. They take a foot long, take only 1/3 or 1/4 of that and throw in the dustbin. I have seen this with my own eyes. So food waste is there in the Western world so much. Of course we do it here. These are some of these so-called 5-star hotels, they do it. But now, in fact, NGOs are coming to take food left out in the hotels and give it to the poor people. India is number 1 in food. Even good disposal, India rates close to China, almost in the same way. See, this policy of exchange came only, it is unique to India. There's nowhere in the world you find the exchange policy. That there is a TV exchange, there is a fridge exchange, so exchange policy came here. And you see, we feel so happy. Again, the TV, if it has gone unserviceable and we buy a new TV, we first offer to our servant or somebody, you want to take it? If not possible, and you buy the new one, we exchange it. We know very well that this fellow is not giving me price. Even if I get 1,000 rupees for a TV which I got for 25,000, I will be very happy. Because we don't want to dispose it on the road. And you see in Western world, the TV has gone bad, they will throw it in the dustbin. There is a dustbin specially kept for the large appliances. We never do it. In the overall, India is number 1 in the lifestyle. Sharing with Brazil, number 1 position in the world in terms of lifestyle and sustainability for India, and US is at the bottom. This is a report that is not done by India, it is an independent report done by Growscan and Singh, and they did it again. In 2014, again this survey was done, and they took some more country. India stood now this time distinctly at number 1 position. Brazil was number 2. This is the second report that came, and US is number 18 in the entire thing. So in lifestyle, India is number 1, one of the least contributor per capita contribution to climate change, but one of the worst in terms of climate risk. So I started with this preamble. We are contributing the least, but being impacted the most. This is the irony. But we have to face this challenge, and we continue to do our might, whatever we can do. This is India's mitigation strategy, that we must evolve a development path that is ecologically sustainable, which means that we do not go for any emission reduction or capping, rather go for avoiding the emission by bringing a directional change in our development path. Do the same, achieve the same economic development, but follow a directional change, a new path which is sustainable, ecologically sustainable. And this is my final slide, that India's approach towards climate change action is that let us give highest priority to human development, focus on public health, education, poverty, and rural livelihood. But do our might in mitigation, try to reduce our emission, not at the cost of economic development. Because remember, as I said, we are at Human Development Index at 0.6. We have to reach 1. So without economic development, you can't reach number 1. And therefore, let's not compromise on economic development, but try to mitigate as much as possible. And that's why Renewable Energy Plan is the direction that brought out by the government. So we had to maintain our economic growth by preserving and following the sustainability. So human development, economic growth, and sustainability put together is India's mantra for development. I conclude saying that climate change is taking place. Magnitude over India is less, but we have highest impact in the region because of high population density and poverty. We need to respond to climate change, and therefore we need to chart a new development path that is ecologically sustainable, but at the same time promoting rapid economic growth and focusing on achieving high human development. India continues to maintain its leadership in terms of sustainable lifestyle. Let us continue to maintain this lifestyle. Thank you very much.